And I find myself working a lot because I am passionate about the job. And that's the beautiful part. Like, I work in a space where we can empower Black people economically.
What up, though, Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. And this year, we are wrapping up Black History Month with a bonus day and also a bonus guest, none other than Miss Sharia Ayers. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
So my very first question to you is, and let me make sure I get all your titles right. You're founder and creator, Juneteenth Jubilee.
Yes.
Founder, creator, Blackout Trivia.
Yes.
And you are also the director of membership and growth for Black Leaders Detroit, aka BLD.
Membership and events. Yep.
Membership and events.
Yep.
Got you. So my first question is, what makes you so invested in Black people?
To be honest, my mom, so it really started at home, and truth be told, I didn't know that this wasn't a part of everybody's lifestyle. So our culture, our history was just a part of our everyday. Like, we watch movies together, we would read together. And when I say read, my mom made sure we went to the library, picked out books that were relevant. I saw me all the time. So that was just part of my normal life. But when I started teaching and getting into education, I realized that that's not the norm for everybody. So really, my foundation started at home, and then it grew exponentially from my experiences.
That's amazing, because I was an adult when I learned more about, or started getting more in tune with my Blackness, because being from Detroit, it's automatic. You don't really have to think about it, which is the beauty. But then when I went to college, and then later on when I moved from Michigan and Detroit and lived other places, and going and experience Blackness in different spaces, and then you kind of get a chance to see that thing that they say it's a monolith. It definitely is. It's not, because it's some people out there who ain't seen Friday. Y'all know who y'all are. Please do better. please do better. Get your life together. But that's one thing that I didn't understand until adulthood, and you said that was something that you grew up with.
Yeah.
That was very intentional. That started with your mom.
Mm-hmm. It definitely was, and like I said, just experience-wise, especially from teaching and then going to Bowling Green, which was a culture shock for undergrad, then going to state. So it was just a number of things, because I had gotten a history minor in undergrad. So you learn a whole lot more when you have to, when your scholarship is riding on you getting certain grades. But
yeah,
outside of that, like I said, those experiences as well as teaching. So, and when you have to teach from a book, or you have to teach curriculum that underrepresents people that look like you and you know better, then I just think you got a call to do something about it.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I obviously have more questions for you, but I'm going to stop to interrupt this part of Black Friday for my favorite part, which is Freestyle Fridays. So hopefully you can.
Do I have to start rapping?
Of course you do. Yeah, with Black History Month. You
Snap.
Black, I'm Black. You know they think we all can rap. So
it's you ever seen Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah.
Right. Should I hit that type of rap?
No, you don't have to rap it all. So
okay.
It's a random assortment of questions. They're all about you, so you shouldn't get them wrong.
Okay.
And I just ask that you answer each one and answer honestly.
All right.
All right.
Good.
So, first question off the bat. This might be one of your Blackout Trivia questions. What's the greatest Black film of all time, in your opinion? Or your favorite?
That's tough, because I got favorite in different genres.
Okay.
So, for instance, my favorite war movie is Glory.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a big one. And even though kind of toxic, my favorite romance movie is Love Jones. I mean, he did stalk her a little bit. It's a little odd when you think about it.
Okay, let's unpack this a little bit. So Love Jones, being an adult and going back and watching movies like Love Jones and Love and Basketball, you realize that these were actually toxic situations.
A little bit,
That's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah,
just understanding what as a kid, this is great. Black people and loving each other, but it's how they got to that love. wasn't the
No.
ideal situation
Not at
to
all.
get to it.
Yeah, not at all. So like I said, it depends on the genre. Some people disagree with me. Like one of my favorite Christmas movies is Friday After Next.
Absolutely.
People be like, they always be like, that's not a Christmas movie.
It's
like,
literally
is
a
it
Christmas
not?
movie.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
literally a Christmas movie.
Is it not Santa in there?
Right.
Like, you know, like,
right. It had crackhead Santa and everything.
Exactly. So, yeah. So it just depends on the genre.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. What did you listen to on the way here?
GPS.
You let your GPS talk to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, like I'm definitely, I'm an auditory and a visual learner. So it was like, yep, go right. And I went right, left, got it. Yeah. So I didn't even listen to anything, to be honest, which is odd because I always listen to music. But
okay.
Today was GPS.
Okay. Since we're wrapping up Black History Month 2024, who is your favorite Black historical figure or the first one that just comes to mind?
Fannie Lou Hamer. Yep. So Fannie Lou Hamer I have several, of course, but that's one of my favorites because she talks a lot about intersectionality. And she's one of the few advocates, well, I won't say few, but really had a platform to talk about like issues that women go through, specifically Black women. And I mean, like, we know about anal woman and things like that in regards to that speech, but Fannie Lou talked about how she dealt with police brutality. And not only that, she was an advocate and very much so vocal about the Mississippi epidemic, And so the whole thing was and that was like back then. Those are issues that we're dealing with now because unbeknownst to her, she wound up had a hysterectomy without her knowledge. So that's what the whole epidemic piece was about. And like when you think about how many issues that women, and not just women, but Black women in particular go through in regards to fibroids, reproductive issues, like the fetal mortality issue, like all of these things. But she was talking about this years ago, But it's just a matter of certain circumstances and people we had a lot to fight for, don't get me wrong, but she was really just about some of the things across the board for voting rights and starting our own political party and she was just in the mix with a lot of stuff and she had a very powerful voice. But I specifically like that she highlighted issues that Black women face for being Black and being a woman in this country. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. What's your favorite thing about the city of Detroit?
It's a great question. My favorite thing about the city of Detroit really is the people. Like, I like that I grew up in a Black city and it's been Black my whole life, and not too many areas can say that, at least not anymore, especially with issues of gentrification. But yeah, so that's what I like most about Detroit. Grew up in a Black city and the water.
Right. Yeah. Love being around the water. That's one thing that's underrated about living in Michigan in general.
Yeah, like the geology of it all, like some real nerd shit. But the whole thing is like locally we have sanitary rocks which are natural filters. So I mean, if it ever go down, we got access to better water than everybody else.
Right.
So all right, like please don't. All right, now somebody gonna try to figure out how to capitalize on the Michigan water. Like, oh my God. Yeah, good times. But yes, that's what I love most about the city.
For sure. And a random job that you had. What's the most random job you ever did?
It's been so many. Most random? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, Denzel, I had a lot of random jobs. But I would say maybe working at a auction house, so like bringing stuff out, and just hold it until they got done with the bidding. So that might have been the most random.
Would you believe that you're the second person to come on this podcast and say that?
Yeah. But that's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. But that's probably, like I said, there's been a lot of random ones though. Like I used to work at a hair salon as a shampoo girl. Like just a lot of random stuff. MDOT. Yeah.
Hustling.
Yeah, all day. So good stuff. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. And if Could you, because I'm sure you have a database of this in your head and then probably in your devices as well, but could you run off some of your favorite Black-owned businesses to Patreon?
Yes, definitely Wayne McGibbon, Clothier. Most of my fly hats, if they didn't come from my dad, they came from Wayne. So there, Teasers Boutique. That's also another one because Paulette, she has an eye, like the owner there, she has an eye for dressing people. And when I say that, like, she'll look at you and say like, let's put you in this. Because she also has like a background in regards to tailoring and being a seamstress that she's just dope. So those two, trying to think what else I patronize. I do patronize. The Coloring Museum. They just got a dope concept, and she makes like the art, and coloring is cathartic. Mm-hmm. So last year I actually went to the Coloring Museum for my birthday, so that's another Black business that I really enjoy. 313 because you get all the paraphernalia for Detroit stuff. Mm-hmm. And they got decent candles actually. So they have a little feel hip to that. Let me think. The accessory shop, that's in Royal Oak. But my cousin used to have shoes in there, the shoe lady, so gotta put my cousin on. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I frequent outside of like food. But yes, that's what I'll say for now.
Nice. So I got put on to a few new ones, so appreciate you telling us those, and congratulations, you successfully passed Freestyle Friday. So pat yourself on the back.
All right. Because I never was like, I don't know.
So this has never been a thing at Blackout Trivia where no rhymes, no music busts out, no sing-alongs.
I mean, well, last night, wish. I thought about it. I was like, I thought about it. But, I mean, last night we did movie soundtracks, so that was pretty fun. Okay. And then first being around our people, some people gonna buzz out singing if they want to anyway. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So I know that for you, education has been a huge foundation of a lot of the things that you have done over the years, including Juneteenth Jubilee, Blackout Trivia, and the work that you do at BLD Detroit now. So just want to know if you could kind of walk us down your journey of how that has impacted the avenues that you have taken in business and career in establishing your foundation with your education.
So honestly, it's been different roads for each to an extent. So Blackout Trivia came before Juneteenth, Jubilee, Detroit, and BLD. But Blackout Trivia got started because I was a trivia nerd. And so me and my teammates, we go to Fridays in Southfield, we used to, and play trivia every Monday. And so we actually made it to the Southeastern Finals, which I didn't even know was a thing. And we were the only Black team there, right? So we lost them. It's whatever to me. But one of my teammates was like, we need to go somewhere else where we can learn more. I'm like, for what? We know enough about white culture. I was like, we need to start a trivia about us, a Black trivia. And some of them laughed at me. One of them didn't. My partner, Ed. And because of adulting, Ed ain't really been able to do as much, at the spur of the moment type of thing. But nonetheless, so talked to Ed, he was down, and then we, from there, Blackout Trivia was started. Got a contract with a bar, and then we started going from there. So that's what got started in 2017. And then 2019, Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit came about, because I was actually out with my sister for St. Patrick's Day. And at the time, unfortunately, my father was dying. And we needed a method of escape, because I'm not the type of person where St. Patty's Day is major to me or anything. But so we just went out to get a break from life. And I'm looking at all these Black people wearing green and stuff like Kiss Me, I'm Irish, and no shade. Because again,
cultural appropriation is what it's called.
I mean, yeah. And the whole thing is just if you want to celebrate, that's cool, because I was out too. Nonetheless, I was just on my soapbox with my sister talking about how they probably don't even know that St. Patrick wasn't even Irish and don't even know what they're celebrating. You know, I'm like, they probably don't even know who they are. And I'm just going off. And she like, what you gonna do about it? Like, fair enough. So I thought to myself, like, well, the next holiday would be Juneteenth. And so when I talked to my mom about it, she was like, well, maybe you should start by calling the blackest place in the city. So I called Charles H. Wright, to see who I could work with there. And then I put the call out on Facebook, and so many amazing people who have been rocking with me the past 5 years. 2019, 20, 21, 22, 20, yeah. So 5 years, because that's how many celebrations we put on collectively. But they answered the call. We met up at the Charles H. Wright, and that's how Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit got started. And then it's just grown over the years, and that's how I got put on to Black Leaders Detroit. So they actually sponsored our third celebration. And then the second year they sponsored, that's when Dewan was like, well, how much is it for you to come on our team? And I wasn't looking for a job for real at the time, but as God would have it, because I believe in God and signs, I wound up being there. Like, I had just gotten back to work after vacation, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to lie to get out of work to meet Dewan for this meeting, right? And I'm not a good liar either, so I'm like, oh, man. But anyway, get to work, and trying to figure out how I can get up out of there to see what they were talking about at BLD. And again, as God would have it, the power went out. And it wasn't raining. It wasn't like a whole grid went out. And it wasn't even a whole building. But enough of the power went out for my boss to send us home early because we didn't have any internet or air in July. So I just looked at that as a sign, like, all right, God, so I went to the meeting, and I didn't even care what they were saying. I was going to accept it because I just felt like that was a sure enough sign. Like, what are the odds that randomly half the building's power would go out, at a time when an opportunity arises? So, like I said, so each venture has been pretty different. Like, one of accountability from my sister asked me what I was going to do about something. Another from people laughing at the idea of learning about us. And then the last one was a godsend. So, yeah.
Can you talk about, after being able to create these events that's so rooted in Blackness and culture, what it's like to now work in an organization that's solely about that and making sure we get the resources and access to information that we need?
Well, first off, I love it. And I would say the hardest part, like, unlike other jobs that I've had where you kind of know that you're working as a means to survive capitalism, here is passion work. And I find myself working a lot because I am passionate about the job. And that's the beautiful part. Like, I work in a space where we can empower Black people economically. And again, from having a background in education as well as teaching economics, the curriculum does not teach us applicable economics. It teaches us how to be an economist, how to look at trends. And not only that, it's only half a year in addition to civics. And when you think about civics and economics, those are some of the most important subjects for adulthood.
Right.
Because it's talking about governmental structures and voting with civics. And then with economics, if you want to be an entrepreneur or understand how money works and how to use your money and get over the whole scarcity mentality, like, you have to understand economics. But the way the curriculum is set up, especially within an urban environment, that's not beneficial to our scholars. So, and on top of that, social studies is only 3 years mandatory in the state of Michigan. So you got to think, you take U.S. history in 9th grade, civics and economics, in 10th grade, and then 11th grade you got world history. Then you got a whole nother year and another summer to forget all of that information. And then you expect it to go out and make educated decisions and informed decisions about who to vote for, what to do with your money, and even basics of financial literacy that you might not even know. So I say all that to say, like, with having these experiences and then being in a space where, one, we are practicing cooperative economics in action, because our members, like yourselves, donate $1 a week, $4 a month, or $52 a year, and we take that and put it back in the hands of Black entrepreneurs. Like, it doesn't get any more simple than that. Because it's like, even if you don't like a Black business, or you have one bad experience, which a lot of us, we don't show grace to each other, you know?
Right.
Nonetheless, I don't care if you don't shop Black or you don't buy Black, but you can support Black by giving your money and let us do the work for you, you know? And the thing is, like, we spend so much money with so many other different people and cultures, and you name it. We need to support our own. Like, we're the second largest consumer group in this country, but we're at the bottom of the totem pole as it pertains to wealth.
Correct.
So collectively, we have money. So the thing is, in essence, I love working at Black Leaders Detroit because it aligns my values. And on top of that, we get to give money to Black entrepreneurs like you and everybody else, you know?
And that's the beautiful thing of it. And as I've grown to know more about it, I encourage more small business owners and different people who are interested in being able to serve the community to donate and become a member of BLD Detroit, because the mission is super simple. DeJuan talks about it all the time. You can give $1 a week, you can give $52 for the whole year, but your contributions will directly impact how people are able to fund and function in their businesses. And that goes such a long way when it comes to, you know, we don't have to, if we have more BLDs or if things work properly, we wouldn't have to talk about why we don't have access to funding and why that is an issue and a hurdle for us, because we can be our own bank, we can be our own institution, we can be our own resource hub, and it just takes the right coordination and the right folks who care enough and not about themselves and the community in order to, you know, get those done. So I definitely love the work that you all are doing over there at BLD.
And it's not just us, it's you, because you're a part of that work.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing of it. And just to your point, when you say it takes the right people in the community to do the things, but this is not even something that's new to our community, you know? And I'm just being 100% real with you, because we know we had Black banks that were terrorized, and we know about Tulsa, you know, and we also, like, even here in the city, we had a number of groups and organizations. Like, one that inspired me a lot was the Housewives League of Detroit. And they did a lot in regards to helping our community economically. So it's just a matter of, like, this is nothing new. But I do believe that as a lot of us subscribe more to extremes of whiteness, and that being goals of what we should have, we got away from some of those foundational values because we looked at the individual instead of the collective.
Exactly.
So
I want to go back to a statement that you had made in terms of we don't give each other enough grace when it comes to Black-owned businesses. I feel like that is amplified a little bit in the city of Detroit, just in terms of me being able to live other places because of we're the blackest city in America. And I feel like personally, a lot of issues that plague small businesses in general, Black businesses get penalized for almost double or triple time and just put under more scrutiny and a microscope, even though these are typical small business problems, such as one of the biggest ones is customer service. I mean, we could just start there. Customer service is huge. That's usually an issue for most people, because I feel like a lot of people know how to do what it is that they specialize in and do that type of business. Everybody don't know how to talk to everybody. Everybody don't know how to talk to people or get along with people. And that's something that we kind of see, but also get penalized for it, don't necessarily get the grace in order to improve and correct that. And I just want to know what's your general thoughts on that? Do you offer constructive criticism to Black businesses that may have wronged you or didn't, provide you a service or product that you didn't think that you would get? Or how could people go about possibly doing that?
To be honest, I just think it's an opportunity for another entrepreneur. And so when I say that, like, who is really, like, at least I'm not familiar with too many consulting firms that's actually trying to go to Black businesses to say, hey, put me on your team for this long or contract so I can work on customer service for you, you know?
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is, like, a lot of, like you said, proprietors don't necessarily have the capacity to work on that too, you know?
Right.
But again, it's just a matter of, I just think it's an opportunity for somebody else to get these contracts to help small businesses with customer service and allow them to flourish. Like, You know how they do like kind of with Hell's Kitchen, they come in and mess stuff up and then they like perfect afterwards. But you know, so I don't know. But in all honesty, like I'm not really jaded, of course, by Black businesses that didn't do me right, because there have also been Indian businesses that didn't do me right.
Right, true.
Beauty supplies that we know are dominated by various Asians that didn't do me right. White businesses that didn't do me right.
Right.
So it's just at the end of the day, it don't matter. Like, you know, so for me it's just like, yeah, like if a business in general didn't do me right, I probably won't patronize it again.
Right.
You know, but if it's like a business that actually cares about getting better, then I will give feedback. But other than that, I just think it's an opportunity for another entrepreneur to actually help our people. But me in general, like it doesn't matter who or what it is. If it didn't do me right, I don't care if it's a robot. It's not fucking with it no more. Like, you know, like yeah, I don't fuck with that robot.
Hey, I was talking to me crazy.
Right, exactly. So yeah. So that's my thought.
And I've had that. I love that you said that. I actually had that thought for like years in terms of like being able to do some type of consultancy or customer service type firm to be able to go in and help people with these type of things. And if anybody's listening, please steal this idea from me. I ain't got capacity to do it right now, but I'm just going to lay the breadcrumbs, and hopefully somebody does have a hospitality background or understand how customer service truly goes. I've been fortunate enough to have like some customer service jobs that I didn't necessarily care for. Like I was a telemarketer in high school, but you learn how to talk to people, you know, you learn how to talk to people, through things. When you work with customers, like, and there's millions or billions of dollars on the line, you learn how to treat people. You learn how to, it's certain core things that you learn how to establish. And so I would love to be able to share that. Like I said, I wish I had more capacity. Happy to consult with anybody who would love to start this business up. But I think that that's something that's definitely needed. There's a market for it. And if people can get past their egos, then, you know, maybe we can start inviting those conversations into the fold more often than not.
You know, I think it sounds like you need to record it and then sell the sessions. I don't know. Maybe
it might
have capacity.
Might have to record, do some lessons and put them out there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody else pay for master classes. Why not?
True.
Yeah.
And we got this far, and I don't think that we've established exactly for anybody who's listening, they haven't fully grasped what BLD or Black Leaders of Detroit does. Could you talk to us about some of the services that you all offer in terms of people who will be members or to the local Black businesses?
Well, for our members in general, first off, as a donor or donating member rather, it's a tax write-off. But secondly, you have access to our events. Thirdly, you have access to the podcast. Then there are also we prioritize our members if they want to apply for like no interest loans and walking them through that. And we also share power with our members. So as I was saying prior to recording, any of our members where we have grant nominations, we go to you all, you know, and that's the thing like Dewan was very passionate about in regards to the fact that when you think of other philanthropic areas or people, they don't mind giving the money sometimes, but they won't share the power, you know, and that means something when you talk about how money is distributed. So with that, and you get access to a monthly newsletter with resources and stories and highlights and a Black business directory, so which is pretty dope overall for membership. But in regards to the patrons and the people that we serve, we just do money, you know, like that is it. Our lane is no interest loans. And again, I say no interest. Like that's the thing that stands out most. No interest loans and grants. Grants typically go towards nonprofit organizations because we know how difficult it is with fundraising and trying to make sure that everything is in order with that. And then we have the no interest loans for more so for-profit businesses. So that's what we do. And then if you are not ready, and we do character-based lending. And I say that again because that's another major thing, because unfortunately, a lot of us have gone through situations where our credit has been messed up. Like you don't know how many times I ask my econ students, like how many people had a mama or grandma or family member on their, on a credit card or on a bill or something like that. You know what I mean? And when I say that, well, how many of them are on a bill or something like that? But the whole thing is like in every class, there was at least 10 scholars that said like their name was on a bill or they shared a credit card or something with the parent, not even realizing that your credit's screwed before you even know what credit is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of when you think about our organization and not being a conventional lending institution, you can have the opportunity to explain that. Whereas if you go to somebody else, they just looking at what's on paper, not the person. So, but outside of that, if individual is not ready to receive the loan from us, then we refer them to a TA partner. And then they will get the training or the proper mentoring and things like that, so they'll be ready to receive the money from us.
What does TA stand for?
Technical assistant.
Okay.
Yep. So like for instance, Operation School is one of our partners.
Yeah.
Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance, because they have more of the development aspect for the entrepreneurs, whereas we do the money.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about your educational background. You talked about when you taught econ to your students. What, in regards to, I guess today's society, what do you feel like are a lot of things that's plaguing some of our young folks and the issues that they have in the educational system? I mean, I'm sure that's a laundry list, but some of the things that come to mind for our young Black people in the city of Detroit.
I would say overall lack of interest in education. I think that's a major issue, but also in regards to entrepreneurship, I do think a lot of scholars want to be entrepreneurs but don't understand the magnitude of what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that, because when you think about it, like I had former students who went viral and they just thought like, oh, I made it. Like, not quite.
No, you still got to come to school tomorrow.
Yeah, like, and not only that, because you went viral, like how does that translate into payment?
Right.
And then what does that mean in regards to longevity? Because we all know going viral is like a day type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow people forget, so yeah. So I would just say the lack of interest in education and not understanding how education pretty much, it's nothing on this earth that I could think of you could do without being taught it or learning, so you have to be open to learning to grow.
Do you think it's the way that we're teaching them? Because like the reason that we had talked about my nonprofit that I do, the reason that we even started the collab is because we realized that we were able to develop skill sets in specialized areas, so like marketing, entrepreneurship, branding, financial literacy, and we wanted to be able to give that to the next generation so that they can take that and in turn be able to support and stabilize their communities coming up and just pay it forward ultimately. But we know that like we had a student tell us one time that I enjoy this more than my actual business class because it's just like the way and maybe the format in which it's being done, because we're trying to be as actionable as possible. So like show them in real time, like this is what it means this is what credit looks like. These are different parts of credit and how your credit is impacted. This is how you actually do a business plan and what it will look like if you had a business, how you spend money. So like is it the format possibly of why it's not really resonating with them? They're not interested.
I would say format to an extent, yes, but relevancy, that's really all it comes down to. Because again, as an educator, you have a curriculum guide that you have to follow because you essentially getting them ready for a test.
Yeah.
Because we know that the dollars are connected to the test and attendance. It's not right, but that's how it is, as well as the property value of the neighborhood with which the school is in. So it's so many things that go into that. However, what I will say is certain grade levels, you can give scholars more autonomy, and then when you give them that autonomy, you can still stay on the guide, but make it relevant. And when I say that, like, so for instance, do you care about World War II?
You asking me?
Yes.
No.
Exactly. And why is that? Could you just you know.
Why I don't care about World War II? Because it was a war that didn't have anything to. I wasn't there. It didn't have anything to do with me, and or my people really. So I don't really have any interest in it. Very important moment in history, but I'm not really interested in it.
Exactly. So that's my point. Like, you're not interested in it because it had no relevancy to you, and you probably don't even like understand why they went to war. So I bring that up as an example because one, like Detroit was an epicenter to put out a lot of materials for the war in World War II. And on top of that, Davidson was the first freeway in the country, and it was made to transport a lot of the weapons and things they needed for war here. So that's the whole thing. Like when you even think about Detroit's economy and what that looked like at the time, as well as how many African Americans contributed to the industrialization of making multiple, weapons.
See, you put it like that, I'm all in.
Exactly. Yeah. And not only that, like another thing is you can relate to a story. Have you ever been in a situation where, I don't know, one of your friends or family members was talking trash to somebody else, and even though you ain't had no problem with this other person, you wound up getting pulled into it?
Of course.
Exactly. But that's literally what World War II was.
Okay.
So again, even though I have to teach World War II, when you make it relevant to your scholars, then they would be more engaged and can put it all together. And then in turn, take that information to understand if I want to go into politics, okay, what that may look like in regards to picking proper allies, how that plays out, and then to make sure that you're aligning yourself with people who are going to be for the betterment of the future and not pull you into war.
Right.
So that's what I mean by that. Like, it's the format, but also the fact that there's so many parameters, and I don't think a lot of educators are taught how to make stuff relevant for the scholars that they're teaching.
Mm. It sounds like they still need you in academia. Do you plan on making any return?
Not on the Well, I'll put it to you like this. If I become a professor or something to teach teachers or work on urban education, then yeah, for sure. But I left the classroom because I got rolled up for giving out too many Fs. Like, that's a thing that I gave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But, nonetheless, if I would have stayed, I would have never been here.
You was that teacher that I would hate to come to your classroom.
Maybe. But the thing was, but that was a funny thing. Like, I was still scholars that were failing favorite teacher. Because my thing is that, again, from going to college and seeing a lot of my people not make it, I just refused to be a teacher that succumbed or gave in rather to patronizing Black children, and then they experience cognitive dissonance. Because if I'm giving you a grade, because that grade is going to do whatever numbers for the school, and it's going to make sure I have food on the table, what you think I'm going to do? Even if you don't deserve that grade, I'm going to give you that grade. Right. Then you're going to think you smart. Then you're going to get out here and go to school and realize that you were set up to fail. And I'm just not going to be a part of that shit. All right.
Facts.
So that's why I was like, well, looks like this is my last year of teaching.
What grade levels did you do?
High school, and then I taught elementary science through DAPSEP on the weekends.
Nice.
Yeah, but I taught high school social studies.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you? What's next for the things you're working on with Blackout Trivia, Juneteenth Jubilee, Black Leaders Detroit?
All the things. So I don't know about Blackout Trivia. We did our Blackout Trivia last night. Oh, I had two back-to-back. I had one at the Alpha House on Tuesday, and then we did the other one at Craig Cafe last night. So that pretty much comes about per request now. But the next thing we have is our Entrepreneurs Brunch. So it's in celebration and honor of Women's History Month. And my CEO and COO, to support the efforts that we've been working on, they're putting money behind what we're doing. So we will be distributing $20,000 for the month in grants to Black women-led businesses. but 2 of them will be distributed through partnerships with members of ours, and then the last 2 will be distributed at the brunch. So it's a brunch and a pitch competition. And the beautiful thing is, like, I wanted to create an environment with the Entrepreneurs Brunch to embody everything we do. So we do money, so we're going to do the pitch competition to give away money. And we also share power. So the women that will be attending the brunch will be voting on who wins the $5,000 grant, the $3,000 grant, and the $2,000 grant. So the whole thing is, just to say, like, hey, you should be a member is one thing, but it's another thing if you get to decide and you invested in a business personally through an experience. So that's what I'd like to provide through the brunch, So, and I mean, I hate to say it, but women run the economy. So we need to have more women involved. And when I say that, like, women buy the products for the house, we buy the stuff for our dudes, we buy the stuff for the kids, we buy stuff for each other. So it only makes sense to make sure we are impacting and working with some of the movers and shakers in our economy. So that's what we got. Entrepreneurs Brunch, March 23rd.
And I did some research on that, and Black women open or start businesses at a higher rate than Black men do. And I want to get your opinion on that. As a Black woman in business, why might that be the case?
Well, we're also the most educated and entrepreneurial demographic in the country. But the messed up part, just gotta throw this out here, is that studies have shown that over 60% of Black women entrepreneurs have to fund their own startup capital, which is something, again, which is why it's such a need for us to continue to support. And we see what they're doing with the Fearless Fund. They don't want us to be able to succeed because they know how powerful the Black dollar is. Nonetheless, I just think, in essence, that, and again, I hate to say it, but Black women have really kind of been at the forefront of a lot of different things. And not saying that our Black men have not, but this is nothing new. We've always been supportive of grassroots, you name it. So not a surprise to me, but we would also be leading in business as well. So, yeah.
Very powerful.
I
didn't know what else to say.
Right. No shade.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It is.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah.
So for the people who would like to follow more what you all are doing at BLD, would like to follow you and support the things that you have going on, where can they find you? What's the websites, the handles, all that type of stuff?
Yes. So if you want to know more about what we have going on with BLD, because mostly everything, I'm an entrepreneur also, but a lot of things can be found on our website at blackleadersdetroit.org or BL Detroit on Instagram or Facebook. In regards to Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit, you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook as well, but as just Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit. And then with Blackout Trivia, like I said, that's per request. So, we do have a Facebook page, but really just whoever would like an event. So, I guess they could either email me or something, or go to the Blackout Trivia page on social media, but yeah, so overall, if you want to support what we're doing and celebrate Blackness along with us, or join our bike ride, we got so much. We got the brunch coming up in March for the ladies, the bike ride coming up in May, Black Business Month in August, and then we're working on a couple other things. Hopefully, I'll be able to share that later, but anywho, so yeah, blackleadersdetroit.org, BL Detroit on Instagram, Facebook, Blackout Trivia on social media as well, and Juneteenth Jubilee Detroit is also on social media.
Perfect. And I do a newsletter for Black Fridays each week, so can we get the flyers for all of those so I can drop them in there and people can support and participate?
Yes, and then let me know too, whatever you reciprocally need.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you stopping by the podcast today.
Thanks
the
for
work that
having
you
me.
are doing is super important. We appreciate you caring about Black people and even more importantly, Black Detroit and doing the things that you do. So thank you for the work that you're putting in. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And everybody watching, we tap in with y'all soon. Peace.